Welcome back, I'm Ryan from Blue Gaming, and today I will be reviewing Helldivers. Now, as you can see in the background, this is a twin-stick shooter with a little bit of a twist and a little bit more difficult than other twin-stick shooters. Before we get into the gameplay, though, let's just go through some of the quicker segments of my review. Starting off with the graphics. Now, what you see is kind of what you get. The graphics options aren't exactly the most extensive in this, and when you put it into borderless windowed mode, such as how I have it, it doesn't really, you can't really change much. It's going to look like this on quite a if I could speak properly, quite a wide number of machines. One of the good things, though, is because there isn't very many graphics options, that this will run pretty smoothly on pretty much everything that has the minimum requirements for specs. This game is pretty consistently around 60 frames per second, even when there's a whole ton of things going on the screen, as you will see throughout this. Pretty much stay at a constant 60 frames, if not even higher occasionally. So, moving on to the sound. I'll just stop talking for a few seconds so that you can hear the firefight that's going on in the background. So that is just a sample of the sound. All of the music in the game is essentially this kind of joyous military music, which is quite fitting for what you're doing in the game, which I'll get into all that here in a minute. But yeah, all the music is, there's not really any sad music. It's all like victory music. Even when you are even when your team's just completely dying around you, it's always just victory music, which I would think would get annoying, but thankfully there's often enough times where the music will cut out completely on purpose, where you can just be there in kind of silence running around these different areas, which we'll get to that here in a second. But more on the sound. Each gun has its own distinct sound that's pretty unique. Most of these I haven't heard anywhere, so it's not like they're using a whole bunch of stock sounds. It doesn't sound like the typical Call of Duty weapons, which is good. These weapons sound a lot more beefier, like you can actually do something with these weapons instead of them just being pea shooters, and I really like that, especially for the large weapons like the exoskeleton suit that you're seeing one of the people use in this so far. That weapon sounds very, very beefy, which you can hear a little bit behind what I'm talking. And yeah, overall the sound is pretty amazing for this being a game made by not so many people. So, moving on, let's go to the story. Now, this is a game with a pretty simple story. It doesn't really matter all that much. Essentially, you have enlisted in the Helldivers, which are essentially, just think of ODSTs from Halo. You are essentially an orbital drop shock trooper that gets shot down from a spaceship onto a planet's surface. You are given a task of objectives, and then you extract from the planet. The basic overall story is you enlist to help fight a war for Super Earth against 3 neighboring groups: the cyborgs, the robots, and the bugs. You try to fight to their home world and And once you go to their home world, you try to eradicate all of the enemies on said home world. Now, one of the special things about the story in this game is everybody that's playing it takes place in the same campaign. You're all fighting together in the same campaign, and that's kind of special because I don't really know very many other games that have done something like that. The closest thing that I could compare this to is PlanetSide 2, how everybody's fighting together to try to capture a whole continent, but in this it's trying to capture whole sections of space and many different worlds all together, and it's kind of cool. The entire section of a fight, once you get to the process of going from Super Earth, fighting out to the homeworlds of the 3 different enemies, that is called a galactic war. And once everybody has captured the 3 homeworlds of the enemy races, then you start a new galactic war where you reset everything. Everybody starts back at Super Earth and you expand outward again. And currently we are on, I think it's Galactic War number 29, I believe it is. So, a Galactic War ends, I've seen 1 war end since the end of the year. Trying to, almost forgetting when I bought this game. So essentially it takes about a month or half a month to actually finish a galactic war with everybody, and that it really depends on how many people are playing, how long these wars will take. So a bit farther into the future, when there's less people playing, then these wars will take longer. When there's more people playing, the war will take quite a bit shorter. So yeah, it just really depends. So once you finish the war, you're given these special different outfits and everything, and it's pretty much just there for the background. The worlds that you go to in the Galactic War are all randomly generated, so there's no like set missions that you are going after that everybody will play through. So now let's just move on to the gameplay, which is the largest chunk of what you're going to be doing in this. So starting out with the basics of gameplay, you start on a ship, which is kind of like your hub. From there, you can join multiplayer matches, you can choose missions to go on, you can look up this encyclopedia of all the different enemies you're going to be fighting to see what their weaknesses are and such. And then you can also upgrade your weapons and items that you will be taking with you on these missions. And then once you've gone through that, then you will be brought down to a planet. There are different types of planets. They're mostly 3 different kinds of planets. There are lush green foresty planets, which can range anywhere from like swampy bogs all the way to dense forests. Then there's also desert planets, which can range from just barren deserts with nothing to very rocky, mountainy places. And then there is also snow planets, which most snow planets are usually the same. They have a few large geographical features, and the rest of it is just snow. Occasionally there will be more ice than other ones, but most snow planets are the same. Then once you go onto a planet, depending on the difficulty that you have it on and how far or how close you are to the enemy's home world, you will have more or less objectives to complete on said planet. It's usually between 3 and 7 objectives, depending on difficulty and how close you are to the home world. There could be more or less, as I already said. But when you are on these planets, you are given a pretty set amount of items that you can use. You are given your main weapon, your your sidearm, which will always stay the same. Your main weapon, you can choose between a whole bunch of different items that are mostly different. And then also during the mission, you can call in a support weapon, which is your only changeable item during the game. Out of your 3 different weapon slots, the support weapon is the only weapon that you can change. You will be stuck with the main gun and your sidearm for the whole mission. You can change the main weapon back at the hub ship, but the sidearm will always stay the same. Now, moving on to the other part of it, the other items that you will be using besides those 3 weapons are called stratagems, and you have to call those in to get dropped in during the mission. And when you see a little menu pop up near my name that has a whole bunch of arrows, that is me calling in a stratagem. For all that, you have to actually call in different things, and you will see sometimes when we go to objectives, we actually have to press in a button combination, and that is one of the things that makes this game a bit more difficult than other not button mashes, but other twin stick shooters, but I'll get into that here in a second. So stratagems can be a wide variety of things. They can be anything from support weapons to calling in more ammo, to calling in airstrikes. You can call in other things, like I normally run around with a little UAV that shoots enemies around me, so you can call in different like backpack upgrades. And then you can also call in different vehicles, anything from APCs to tanks. You can also call in, several times you'll see it, like these exoskeleton walkers that are essentially just mech suits, and there's a different variety of those. So that's pretty much what you call in with these stratagems, and that's one of the main parts that makes this game different than other twin stick shooters. Going into the final part of this, the difficulty, this game is surprisingly difficult. There is 12 difficulty modes, going anywhere from number 1 being called Dive in the Park to number 12 being Helldive. Now, I've played this game for about 15 hours so far, and there is, with my experience, I've been able to play through, with a group of people, I've been able to play through anything up to about difficulty 9. So, yeah, this game can get really difficult. Then there's also other difficulty in such ways where aiming is a lot more precise in this game. I recommend actually using a keyboard and mouse over a controller, just so that you have that extra bit of aim that you have, so that you can hit the targets that you're trying to hit, because you can die in 4 to 5 hits. It is not unheard of to die in 4 to 5 hits. Some enemies can actually one-shot you, and once you die, it's not very easy. Well, it is kind of easy, but in the middle of a firefight, it's not very easy to respawn you, because one of your teammates has to call in a stratagem of another drop pod to bring you back in. And then the use of the stratagems and the different objectives where you have to actually type in the button combination, that adds in a bit of difficulty that you don't normally see. Also, friendly fire is permanently on, which it's not as big of a problem as you would think, because you have such high accuracy with your weapons, but it can lead to be a problem with some less experienced players. So yeah, that's a bit of a problem. You can also be driven over with, if somebody calls in a vehicle, they can drive you over with said vehicle. Cliffs, they let you walk right off a cliff. There's just a whole bunch of things that add a bit of difficulty that you would expect in, well, at least I would hope that you would expect in something like this. Sadly, though, most twin-stick shooters are more on the arcady side, where this one isn't. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for going over this game. I really enjoy this game. Actually, one thing that I almost forgot, I almost forgot to go into the DLC. This is something that I didn't really want to have to deal with, but yeah, there's quite a bit of DLC for this game. It's about it's $3 a pack, and it gives you a new outfit, a new weapon, a new one or two new stratagems, and maybe a perk, which I didn't go into perks. Perks are essentially just passive upgrades for you. The problem is all of the DLC for this game, which I believe there's 12 or so packs, all of that came out day one. And most of it is okay because most of it doesn't feel like cut content. It's just like added things. The problem is there's quite a few of them. There's like 4 or 5 of them that literally feel like cut content. There is one of them that gives all-terrain boots. I forget what the name of the pack is that you buy that in, but these all-terrain boots are almost essential for high-level missions. And when you're moving in some of the swamps in the forest worlds, or if you're moving in the snow in the snow worlds, you are given a movement penalty for not wearing those. And there's quite a few planets close to the homeworlds are usually snow planets or these very swampy planets. So it's almost you almost have to have the all-terrain boots and some of the few of the other items given in these. The good thing is, though, even though it's normally like $20-some to buy all of the packs, when it goes on sale, they normally put a big pack bundle that has all the different DLC in it. It's normally bundled all together for $10, which essentially just think of that as adding $10 to the price tag of this game, which now on Steam is currently about $15 or your regional equivalent. So think of this game as being a $25 game instead of a $15 game. The rest of my opinion that I'm about to go into is basing this game as a $25 game. So just think of that. This game is still really, really worth it. There is a lot of content here, and I normally play with randoms, and it's still the amount of games that you get with very talkative people that that know how to work together is very high, because most of the people that don't like to talk to each other and don't work well together, most of those people don't last very long in this game. So if you want something like that, then this is definitely the game for you. And if you have friends to play this with, well, that's even just definitely worth it. I believe that they do sell this game in a 4-pack. I do not know the price of that 4-pack though, so yeah, if what you see and what you've been hearing you like, then you're definitely going to like this. I really like the time that I put into this game, and I intend to put more time into this game. I don't know if I'm going to go up to max level to unlock everything, which, by the way, is level 50. That would take, something in the range of, I would expect it to take 30 plus hours, because I'm only level 16 at 15 hours into this, so yeah, that would take quite a bit of time. So yeah, that is it for this review. Remember, I'm Ryan from Bluewood Gaming. The next video might be another review, or will be the start of a small little playthrough of a special title. But yeah, that's it for this. I will see you all in the next one.